Hi everybody, good to see you. Let's sing hello. Hello, hello, let's sing hello, hello to all our friends. Hello, hello, let's sing hello, I'm glad we're here again. Hello, hello, let's sing hello, hello to all our friends. Hello, hello, let's sing hello, I'm glad we're here again. So I got a video from Gray today and asking if I had an accordion. And I do. So I said, hey, I will show that to everyone on our video. The other question, can I play the accordion? Not really. Maybe that's something I can spend some time doing now that I'm at home. But I will show it to you. It's pretty big and pretty heavy. So you can see I have straps on holding it up. One side, whoopsie-doo, this side here, plays chords. And that's what I just used for our song. So I press a button and it plays a chord. And there are lots of buttons. They make all kinds of sounds. And I really only know that this one, there's a dented button that I can feel with my fingers, and that is the C chord. So I always start there. The other side is like a piano keyboard. And so now, neither side works unless I'm moving it in and out. These are the bellows in the center, so the air has to go through the instrument in order to make the sounds, right? Just like when we play a woodwind instrument. So all I have to do is move this part back and forth, and there's a way I can do that with my hand. You pull it out in order. If I don't move the bellows, if I just leave them, no, I can play as much as I want on the keyboard and nothing happens. So it's a really neat instrument. It's a big instrument. I'm going to close it up now. To close the bellows, I have to let the air out, so I have to play a chord or a note. And if you're interested in the accordion, it's a lot of fun. You may want to ask Mom or Dad if a little later they can maybe find online. There's a lot of people who know how to play the accordion, who've recorded some great songs. So, just thought I would show that instrument to you a little bit today. And then I wanted to start by singing I wanted to start our first song with Robin in the Rain. And some of you hopefully know that song. It's a really old song, almost 100 years old. And I think it actually came out of Australia originally. But we all like to see the robins in the rain. And now I've been seeing a lot of them in my yard anyway. We didn't get a chance to start singing it at school this year. Some of you might know it because it's a song that Ralphie likes to sing. And I'm just going to use a little rain stick to make our rain sound during the song. You guys know the rain sticks from school, right? So this one goes, Robin in the rain, such a saucy fellow. Robin in the rain, mind your socks of yellow. Running through the garden on your nimble feet, digging for your dinner with your long, strong beak. Robin in the rain, you don't mind the weather. Showers always make you gay. But the worms are wishing you would stay at home. Robin on a rainy day, don't get your feet wet. Robin on a rainy day. We talked about this, right? Why the worms were wishing the robin would stay at home? Yeah, because they don't want to get eaten. And the worms really like a rainy day because it gives them a chance to come up above because they have to stay wet, right? Normally, if they come up above ground and it's sunny and dry, they can't breathe without moisture on their skin. So on a rainy day, the worms can come out and play. But the robin's there. They may end up being someone's breakfast. Let's do it one more time. Robin in the rain, such a saucy fellow. Robin in the rain, mind your socks of yellow. Running through the garden on your nimble feet, digging for your dinner with your long, strong beak. Robin in the rain, you don't mind the weather. Showers always make you gay. But the worms are wishing you would stay at home. Robin on a rainy day, don't get your feet wet. Robin on a rainy day. And then today I thought we'd look at some books and talk a little bit about gardening. We are getting the spring rains, and I know lots of you are growing some plants and gardens, and even if you're not, you're eating things that come from the gardens. So I thought we would sing the chorus of the garden song, and then I have a couple stories for you. It's been raining a lot, just what we need for a garden. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain comes tumbling down. One more time. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, please bless these seeds I sow. Please keep them safe below till the rain comes tumbling down. Now I think we'll do a story about a groundhog and a garden. So today we're going to read a book called How Groundhog's Garden Grew. And you know, at Chancellor Street, we haven't had a groundhog in our garden, but we have had a bunny and a chipmunk. And sometimes some of the birds in there too. Little Groundhog was hungry. Beautiful, scrumptious, irresistible, he exclaimed as he crept into a neighbor's lovely garden. He was nibbling on some fresh green lettuce when Squirrel rushed down from her tree. Little Groundhog, Squirrel scolded, this food does not belong to you. If you take food that belongs to others, you will not have a friend in the world. Why don't you plant your own garden? I'm sorry, Little Groundhog told her, embarrassed, but I don't know how. Well then, replied Squirrel, I will show you. First, you will need seeds, said Squirrel. Little Groundhog helped Squirrel and her friends pick beans and seeds from pods and seeds from sunflowers' drooping heads. They collected seeds from inside peppers, cantaloupes, cucumbers, and tomatoes. Squirrel chewed a hole into a pumpkin and handed Little Groundhog the gooey seeds, saying, we'll dry these in the sun, then we can plant them in the spring. Oh, do you remember when we carved our pumpkins and we pulled those gooey seeds out? A chill breeze blew in. It's time to dig up potatoes, Squirrel said. Little Groundhog watched Squirrel and thought, that looks like fun. And so he took a rake and poked around for potatoes too. When they were finished, Squirrel added compost leaves to her garden as fertilizer for the coming year. Squirrel put aside a few potatoes and the tops of onions in a burlap sack, and she put the seeds they had collected in tins to keep them dry, and put the tins into her sack. November's snow flurries told Squirrel that winter was on its way. Sweet dreams, Little Groundhog, Squirrel said as she curled up in her tree hole. See you in the spring, Little Groundhog said, snuggling into his deep earthen burrow. As winter snows blew, Little Groundhog and Squirrel slept. In February, Little Groundhog awoke and drowsily ambled up to the burrow entrance. The wind made him shiver. He saw his shadow and hurried back inside. Oh my, he said, this is going to be a long winter. If you look at the picture, you can see the garden is sleeping. You can see where a squirrel is sleeping in the tree. There's even a turtle down under the ground there. Weeks later, he woke with a start. It's spring, he shouted, and he scuttled to the burrow entrance. There he met Squirrel carrying the burlap sack they had filled with potatoes and tins of seeds. Rise and shine, Squirrel said. It's planting time. Look, the potatoes are sprouting. First, we'll cut them into little pieces with 2 sprouts each. Then we'll plant them with their sprouts pointing up and cover them with soil. Each sprout will grow into a new potato plant, and next fall we'll dig new potatoes out of the ground. Now let's find a sunny place for your garden. When they found a good spot, Squirrel told Little Groundhog, first we need to dig in the soil to loosen it up. Next, they planted the cut-up potatoes. Then they dug rows and sprinkled in carrot, beet, parsnip, and radish seeds. All these vegetables will grow under the ground, Squirrel told him. so we can call them root crops. They covered the seeds with dirt and gently watered them. And at the end of each row, Squirrel stuck markers to help them remember what they had planted. Squirrel told Little Groundhog, "Seeds need lots of sun. We'll plant taller vegetables in the back so they won't cast shadow over the shorter ones." So behind the row of root crops, they planted seeds of tomatoes, peppers, and leafy greens. "Some vegetables grow on vines," said Squirrel. She pounded sticks into the ground for pea and bean plants to climb. "Some plants grow very big," said Squirrel. They planted the seeds of pumpkins, zucchinis, yellow squash, sunflowers, corn, and artichokes far apart to give them lots of room to grow. The next day, Squirrel said, "Let's visit my garden. I want to show you the plants that come up year after year all by themselves. They're called perennials." Sure enough, shoots of raspberries and asparagus were already poking up through the ground. Squirrel dug up a frilly young asparagus plant for Little Groundhog's garden. She told him, "You'll need to wait 3 years before this asparagus has nice thick stems to eat." Little Groundhog said, "Thank you. I'm off to plant my perennials." Every day, Little Groundhog watched and waited and watered his garden. Then one day, tiny seedlings emerged. "What a wonder!" he exclaimed. But as they grew, he worried. "Are these seedlings too crowded together? What should I do?" he asked Squirrel. "Pull some up and plant them somewhere else," she said. Little Groundhog pulled up a few seedlings and looked at them. The peas, the beans, and all the seeds had split open. From each a root grew down and a shoot grew up. Little Groundhog transplanted some seedlings where they had more room to grow. Wren and Praying Mantis said to Little Groundhog, "If you promise not to harm us with bug spray, we birds and insects will help you with your garden. We will eat the harmful insects that hurt your plants." So Little Groundhog promised. As weeks passed, plants grew and blossomed. Bees, flies, and butterflies came to eat the sweet nectar and carry pollen from flower to flower. They told Little Groundhog, "The wind, the rain, and we insects pollinate your flowers so they can become fruits and vegetables." Little Groundhog noticed that after a flower was pollinated by an insect or the wind, its petals dried up and fell off. Underneath was the smallest beginning of a tiny vegetable, a tiny tomato, a tiny cucumber, a pepper, an eggplant, a pea pod, a zucchini. "So this is how a garden grows," Little Groundhog cried jubilantly. Tomatoes turned red, heads of cabbage grew, sunflowers seemed to explode from the top of a stalk. Snap peas, string beans, peppers, lettuce, and chard grew larger under the sun. Little Groundhog rejoiced. He ate his very own vegetables, plain and fresh, from his very own garden all summer long. When fall came, Squirrel wanted to share one more secret with Little Groundhog, cooking. So they stewed tomatoes, boiled corn, broiled potatoes, stir-fried veggies, and even stuffed a baked zucchini, saving the seeds to plant the next year. There was so much more than they could eat themselves. "What do we do?" asked Little Groundhog. "Oh, we know the answer to this, right? If there's too much for you to eat, we share," said Squirrel. "What a great idea," said Little Groundhog. As they sat around the table, their friends exclaimed, "Thank you for inviting us to this amazing feast." Little Groundhog replied, "Thank you all for forgiving me for eating from your gardens last year. And thank you, Squirrel, for teaching me how to grow my own. It's beautiful, scrumptious, and irresistible. Let's eat." "What a fortunate creature I am," he thought. "Delicious, nutritious, homegrown food and wonderful friends to share it with." Little Groundhog grew into a big groundhog and became known far and wide for his annual Thanksgiving dinner. And that is how Groundhog's garden grew. He's growing a lot more than I'm growing in my garden this year. But that all looked pretty good, didn't it? I have one more short story for you. This is kind of a funny one. Don't worry, though. Some people might worry a little about our mouse in this story, but it's a fun story. This story is called The Big Hungry Bear. Hello, little mouse. What are you doing? Oh, I see. Are you going to pick that red, ripe strawberry? But little mouse, haven't you heard about the big hungry bear? Oh, he looks scared, doesn't he? Oh, how that bear loves red, ripe strawberries. The big hungry bear can smell a red, ripe strawberry a mile away. Especially one that has just been picked. Boom, boom, boom. The bear will tromp through the forest on his big hungry feet and sniff, 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 find that strawberry. No matter where it's hidden or who's guarding it or how it's disguised. Quick! There's only one way in the whole wide world to save a red, ripe strawberry from the big hungry bear. Cut it in two, and we'll both eat it all up. Yum! Now that's one red, ripe strawberry the big hungry bear will never get. The end. Looks like he's got a nice hat there too, doesn't it? And now an instrument I can play. I got the ukulele out and we're going to do the bye-bye song. Because it's time to sing the bye-bye song. We're gonna be back before long. Till then be happy, well and strong. Bye-bye, bye-bye. No matter where the wind may blow, my heart will follow where you go, until you bring it back in tow. Bye-bye, bye-bye, big wave. So long, happy trails, guard your trunks, watch your tails. So long, happy trails, guard your trunks, watch your tails. Bye, everybody.